Randy here. I know guys, I promised y'all a second video on the idle circuit, but here it is. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to change the actual fuel restrictor in the metering block. We're going to move it to a different position and we'll make it where it'll be changeable. We can change the orifice size to whatever we want. It'll be a screw in and screw out orifice. Now, these are pretty much the same whether you're looking at a double pumper or a vacuum secondary, you know, a 750 vacuum secondary or a 1850 600 series, 600 CFM, or a double pumper, 4779. They're still all basically the same. Now, we know the idle circuit on this carburetor, I think I've kind of showed you this before on the other video, but it actually comes from this hole right here on the edge. That comes out of this main well, which is this here, the same one that the jets pull the fuel and the power valve, which this is a rear metering block, so don't let this fool you. This will be a power valve here. Okay, this hole right here and right here comes right out of the main well. That's the main fuel right there, and it comes across to this little pressed in orifice right here, and that's a little, what it actually looks like is this if you took it out, pulled it out.
Where is that?
Can they get a view of that?
Yes, sir.
That's what it looks like.
It's just zoom in.
It's nothing special. It's just basically a brass tube. It's nothing special about the idle fuel. Alright. Now what we're going to do, instead of it coming in here where it normally comes, we're going to move it over here to where it comes out, right at the air bleed, it pulls the fuel down. I believe if you move it to here, and take it out here and move it to here, when this is pulling vacuum down to draw the air from the air bleed at the top of the actual throttle, at the top of the main body, through the idle air bleed, it draws air, and at the same time it forms a siphon feed and pulls fuel from here to here, and it comes down to your actual idle circuit. And the actual idle circuit is the same thing as your transfer. You actually, this actual feed here is your transfer, for your transfer slot, and then it feeds the idle circuit over here. It just drops across through the adjustable screw here. It just jumps across, and that's what makes the idle circuit. That's why if we have that transfer slot open too far, it'll draw too much fuel here and not enough here. Okay, now let's get on with it. We're gonna, there's several ways you can do this. I've already done this out. I just drilled it out. Now you can drill it out. Some people put a screw in there and just pop it out with a pair of cutters around it. You know, just grab it and just yank it out. But to me, it's just easier to drill it. I'm gonna show you real quick on this one. This is a 116 thousandths drill bit. You can use 3 or 4 thousandths either way. But I'm just going to come across here. We want to hold it straight. Take our time. And like I usually do, I'm sorry, we got to use our safety glasses. We don't want to get nothing in our eyes. Let's see if that's all of it. There's a little bit more. Alright, it's out that quick. So now we have no restriction here or here. Now, I've already put the threads in here. There's really nothing to this. Putting threads right up here. It's a what I use is a 6/32, which is a 6/32 NF, National Fine Tap. The hole size is already the right size. You don't have to drill it or nothing. Sometimes, right here, if this is in the way, you have to take your little die grinder and just nip off a little bit where you can get a straight shot in. What I do is I take like a 116 thousandths drill bit, whatever fits your hole perfect. You know, everyone's a, oh, I've got the bleed already in there. Let me take it out and I'll show you what the whole deal is here. wish I hadn't already drilled it, but there's nothing to it. Do this on an old metering block when you first start, guys. Don't do it on a brand new one. Do it on an old one. All right. That gives me kind of the angle. I can kind of see the way it's coming in and feed into the main well. All right. So what I want to do is kind of get the idea of what angle that's setting on, and the tap will usually pretty much follow it. And then I stick it in there, make sure I'm pretty straight, and I'm kind of laying up against the metering block right here, real gently, and I'm just going to screw it in there probably around 4.5 to 5 turns, right about there. Then I'm going to back it out. Now this 4.5 to 5 turns is for my plugs, my little bleeds here. Yours could be shorter, longer. You might take, best thing to do is just go in there a couple rounds, fit it in. Go a couple more rounds till you get it where it's going to set pretty much flush. You want it where it's going to set pretty close to flush. And there we are. That's what it looks like, the end product. Now this is a blank here. It is not drilled, so you're going to have to drill it to the size you want it. Normally, most idle air bleeds range between 60 on the average and 80 thousandths. That's just a ballpark figure. Measure yours, and the way you want to measure them is get you a set of these gauge pins. Now this is an old set here. I got another set coming that's bigger, and these go from like 11 thousandths to 60. And you really need, if you get serious about this carburetor stuff, you might want to get you one of these and then go from 60 to like 1/8 of an inch, 125 thousandths. But these gauge pins you can take and measure pretty much anything you want to with it. Pretty much any size. You just stick them in there, and you can keep going up or down until you actually find the size. And then you know, hey, this is what I've got. I've got a 40 thousandths hole here. On this air bleed, I might want to start off. If I measure the one up here, this is your air bleed right here. If I measure this one, and let's say it's 70 thousandths, and it's a replaceable air bleed. Now it has to be a replaceable air bleed. The outboard ones are your idle circuit. The outboard ones, the inner ones are your high-speed air bleeds. Now, you can change these out on like the HPs and Ultras. They have screw-in air bleeds, and you can change them out. And we'll have to get in that to another video, because you don't want to just go changing those without knowing what you're doing. Now, the idle circuit is a lot less sensitive than the high-speed circuit when it comes to air bleeds. But right here, we just moved this. We drilled out this where the factory air bleed was, and then this circuit just comes right up here and feeds this. So then the next thing we're going to do is drill this to, let's say this one here, we measured it, and it was 28 thousandths. All right, and we want to go, let's say we want to lean the idle circuit down. You want to go bigger on, excuse me, I'm sorry. You want to go smaller on this. This is the actual idle fuel restrictor. This is not air bleed. I was just sitting there thinking about air bleed. I had it on my mind. The air bleeds, all these air bleeds that's removable on the top, the bigger you go, the leaner they get, the smaller you go, the richer it gets. It's just the opposite of a regular jet, because you're metering air in instead of fuel. This is nothing but fuel right here. It's not air, it's fuel. So when it comes up from the main well across here and draws up here, it's pulling fuel right there. And then at the same time, let me get this bowl off where I can show you something. It draws air right at that same area. That's what I want to get across to you. It draws air right across this air bleed, which is the one inside outboard. It draws it right there, and that gasket, if you look at it, where does it match up? Right there where we're pulling the fuel. So the vacuum is being drawn down from the throttle plates down this way, so it's sucking fuel here and air out of the main body through this hole, which is up here, which is the actual air bleed through the top. Okay, so when we open this restrictor here, let's say this one was 28, or let's just say it was 30 thousandths. And we want to go richer, we might go 33 here, starting to 3,000 increments. Go 33, might even need 35. That's a common number on a lot of them. And if we want to go just opposite, we want to lean it out, which you do on a lot of carburetors. They get where when they don't want to adjust. This is another way of leaning the actual idle circuit out, and you go to a smaller jet. You go maybe from a 30 to a 27. Go 3,000 increments at a time. And when we do this, now these little plugs, I've got just little blank plugs here. I've got brass, which is, if you can see those, and I've got the black ones. These are steel, these are brass. Now the only difference is the black, when you put it in there, it ain't near as noticeable. The brass is going to show. So if somebody, you're trying to kind of be secretive about it, you might want to go with the black one and then drill it. And you could always drill it up another size if you want to. You just can't go back. So you'd have to get you can get these bleeds pretty cheap. I'll have to remember where I got them from. And there's all kinds of these on the internet and stuff. You can look them up. And you can go a plug, or you can go a little different type. They got different types of these. It's just, basically this is just a little threaded plug that's open here down to about here, and you drill the very bottom of it. Okay. So we got that in there. We got our plug in there. We got it drilled. Let's say we wanted to lean it down, which most times that's what happens to most cars. We're trying to get it where it's a lot more adjustable by the idle mixture screw. So we come down from 30 to 27, and man, we hit the spot. Maybe we didn't. Maybe it's better, but it's not quite enough. We'll go down to 24, 25 if we think we're close. Maybe just a couple thousand down. You have to play with it. But the difference is when the fuel is being drawn in here, coming up here to a big hole, I don't think you get the spray, the emulsification that you'll get putting the bleed, the actual air it's not a bleed, I'm sorry, the fuel restrictor. I'll get it in just a minute, guys. The fuel restriction is right here. This is nothing but fuel, but if you bring it down small right here where the air is coming in, being drawn down across it, I think it emulsifies better. That's my opinion. I'm not going to argue with anybody about it, but that's just my opinion. And that will lean down the idle circuit, or richen it if you need to richen it. But majority of the time, you'll find out you need to lean it, just like we was talking about with the transfer slots and putting the bypass holes on our other video. All right, guys, so that you work with that, and then you'll see the meter. You'll actually see the air fuel mixture screw. You'll see it start. If you lean it down, it'll start coming out further. And you rich, it'll go in. You know, it's just going to make it a lot different. You come out a little ways, it's going to get rich quick. All right, well, that's about the whole deal. Guys, if you like this stuff, I appreciate it. If you would, as always, guys, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to turn on my posts and notifications, and you'll know every time we shoot a new video. And we're going to start shooting more of them regular. I promise this, but we're going to do it. Thank you. This is Randy. I hope I helped you.